If you or someone you know has diabetes, you may have built up an extra supply of test strips and lancets. That's where we come in. We'll buy the supplies that you don't need and resell them to those in need to prevent waste. Help us make diabetes management more affordable. Visit us at teststripswithaz.com.
All right, joining me right now, made his Bellator debut on Saturday night. He took on Jake Hager, a.k.a. Jack Swagger from WWE fame, and he may not have gotten the job done in the cage, but the man became an iconic fan favorite during the fight week of Bellator 221, and I wanted to have him on the show, and he agreed to do so, which I appreciate very much. TJ Jones, the legend himself, Tombstone, is here. TJ, how are you, man?
Hey, man, I'm really good. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, and thank you for jumping on. I have to say, what an interesting fight week it was, because not only was the UFC putting on a big event, but Bellator was going head-to-head with it with a huge card itself. And heading into Bellator 221, it was all about, all the hype was behind Chandler and Patricio Pitbull and their rivalry, and MVP and Paul Daly. And as the event began to get closer and closer to Saturday night, the fight between you and Jake Hager became the hottest topic of the week. You in particular, I mean, can you put into words what last week was like for you building up to that fight?
Oh man, I could probably put it in a story. Honestly, man, it was such an amazing experience. As far as a fight fan, it was once in a lifetime. I got to meet some of the absolute legends of the sport, the Royce Gracies and the Fedors. And then, you're overwhelmed because of the big names that you've seen them fighting on TV, from years ago. And, I thought that, there's going to be a few people with an ego, when in reality, nobody had an ego. Everyone was just they were just people, and that's how they treated me. And they were down to earth. They were nice. They let me pick their brain. I said in the post-fight press conference, MVP talked to me and my manager about comic books. It was awesome. Something that I'll hold very dear to my heart for the rest of my life, for sure.
We start as the stare downs began. People got to see who you were. We started to see all these articles come out, these posts on social media, like the rumor and innuendo. You worked at Walmart. All these legends and tales started to come out about you. You do work at a beef plant, but
yeah. What
were you, your team, your family thinking when all these things were coming out via the media and social media and such about you?
Well, it was interesting because I wasn't able to talk to my wife that much because we were just so busy. So I want to say it was Thursday night or Friday night. It was after the press conference. I talked to her the first time, and she kind of told me, she's like, I'm seeing some stuff. And she's like, so it's not true, what is going on? And the Walmart, I saw the one about Walmart, and what's funny about that is I didn't know what to say when they asked me if MMA was my full-time job, and I do work at a plant, so it just came out natural for me. I had no idea that it was going to catch people's attention. So
what was the thing that got your attention the most? A story, a job title, who you were, which ones are you like, this is just getting ridiculous now?
I like the Chum Lee ones, and I like the Jack Black. I like the Jack Black ones. Those two. Well, see, and what's funny about that is I've been called Jack Black my whole life. Ever since, not so much when I was a kid. I was a lot skinnier, but when my metabolism decided to leave me, and I started gaining a little bit of weight, everyone started making the comparison to Jack Black. And so when that started happening online, I was like, man, there's got to be something to this. So that's probably my favorite one. And then I was made into a Rocky meme about hitting beef, and I also like that one for sure.
That's hilarious because you got the Jack Black comparisons, and then probably after the fight on Saturday, Jake Hager was getting the Biff Tannen comparisons from Back to the Future. Right. So pretty hilarious stuff. Jake had said after the fight, and he said it again on Monday when he was on Ariel's show, that some of the things you were saying during the build-up were definitely starting to piss him off, definitely getting under his skin a little bit. He was pretty fired up about it. Was that part of your game plan heading in to try to mess with him a little bit on the mental side of things?
I wasn't going to say anything to him, to be honest with you. I was just kind of going to let it go. I was going to have a fight camp. I was very focused on losing weight. I was very heavy when I took the fight. So, but then I started reading articles, and then I started, I started kind of looking on his Facebook page, and his fans were pretty outright ridiculous, and they were just going in on me. And I had they had never met me or seen me. And who knew 3 months later they would have been right. He ended me in the first round. But I just thought to myself, like, they're going to just talk about me. I might as well talk back. And that's pretty much, what ended up being. And The Rock gives a catchphrase. He says, it doesn't matter. So when he would do this We the People thing from WWE, The Rock, when I was a kid, he was my favorite. So I started saying it doesn't matter, because the people aren't in that cage with you. It's just me and him. And that's kind of where that came from. But I didn't know it was getting to him because he never said anything. But I could see it at the weigh-ins that he was pretty, irritated.
Did you? I mean, obviously in the arena he was pretty irritated. Did you feel like during the build-up, during the press conferences, during the times you spent together, did you feel like when you were looking into his eyes that you were kind of getting under his skin a little bit?
I didn't know until his girlfriend or his wife. I'm not exactly sure. And I hate to call her out like this. And if she sees, I apologize. But she called me an effing punk and started yelling at me in the back when I did the it doesn't matter bit. And so at that point in time, I knew I was getting to the wife. And if you're in my situation, if you get to my wife and make her mad, I'm mad. That's just how it has to be. The wife's mad, the husband's mad. So I knew at that point in time that he was pretty emotional. And so I figured I was in for a really, really tough fight.
On Saturday, it seemed like the arena was clearly behind you. I mean, a lot of people were behind you heading into that fight. You were the baby face, so to speak, and you were pulling out all the dance moves, dancing to the cage to everyone's delight, including my own. What was that moment like for you, making that walk to the Bellator cage?
Oh man, I've fought in front of some big crowds before, but it was just it was surreal. Like, it's hard to put into words that experience, because one, I'm a people person. I enjoy people pleasing. I like the attention. I like all kinds of attention, and that's been kind of my downfall for my whole life. I'm an attention seeker. So when I see a crowd of however many thousands there were in attendance, I saw my opportunity. And I didn't care if there were 50 people in the audience. I don't care if there's 10,000 people in the audience. When my music hits, we're dancing. I keep telling people life's a dance. You have to enjoy it. And I'd like to think that's kind of how I live my life. There are definitely the serious moments where you have to buckle down and be an adult. But for the most part, man, I'm just super happy where my life is. I have wonderful kids. I have a wonderful wife. I have a pretty good life, so I don't have nothing to really be, upset or mad about. And the opportunity I was given, I keep saying, was definitely once in a lifetime. And even if I get to fight on Bellator again, is it going to have the star power of an MVP and a Lima and a Pat Curran and an AJ McKee? Probably not. So for me to be featured on that was just, God, it was such an experience.
You talk about your wife and your kids and your family, and you have a full-time job. MMA is just kind of the cherry on top of the sundae at this point in your life.
Yeah,
hopefully Bellator gives you more chances, and that kind of changes for you at this point. And you were excited about taking a fight and dropping some LBs and things like that. But you get the call, you get this opportunity to fight a guy with a name like a Jake Hager. You've been out of the sport for a little while. This is your opportunity to get back in. Obviously, you saw so much value in this potential fight, getting a featured spot like that. How did your family react to this? How did your wife react to it? How did everything, kind of come to fruition in that sense?
When I had stopped fighting, unfortunately, I have a bad habit of fighting fighters in their hometown. And I don't want to make excuses for any of my losses, but I have a lot of decision losses, especially in boxing, that I felt I could have won. Some fans felt I could have won, but I always seemed to not get my hand raised. Well, about 2 years ago, I hurt my Achilles when I was running, and I ended up fighting 3 more times on it, and it swelled up really bad, and there was a partial tear in my Achilles heel at the end of 2017. And that was my decision on why I decided to not fight anymore and retire. And I promised my wife that I wasn't going to fight no more. And, I gave it a year. I stuck to that word. And when this opportunity came about, I just felt like I had to take it. I keep telling people, when Bellator calls, you have to answer the phone, because, arguably it's one of the biggest promotions in the world, if not the second biggest in the world, next to the UFC. And again, arguably, that's just in my opinion. But so my wife rightfully so, was very cautious. And I know, she just has my best interest at heart. She doesn't want to see me get hurt. And I had explained it kind of in the post-fight press conference. Our daughter was just recently diagnosed with autism. So her working is very difficult right now, because not that our daughter's difficult, it just takes a little bit more of a special care and time with her. So giving her to babysitters and stuff like that isn't necessarily an option at this point in time. So I was very aware that I could have gone into this fight and gotten hurt, as was my wife. And so that was kind of the biggest issue that we had to kind of talk about and get past. And she's behind me right now, so I'm trying to. Yeah, I'm trying to, make sure that I say everything right. But no, truly, she, not to ramble too much, but she has my best interest at heart. And when she saw this guy, and obviously he's a physical specimen, there's a lot of fear and worry that, hey, what if I get hurt again? What if I can't work? So that, there was a lot of that went into the preparation for this fight, the beginning stages of it anyway.
When you got face-to-face, because when you watch pro wrestling on TV and you see these guys, you don't really know how big they are. You don't really know. When you got face-to-face with Hager, were you like, holy shit, this guy's way bigger than I thought he was? Or kind of
man.
What do you...
No, it's funny you said that, because he came into the Mike Dick Bar and Grill where we did the press conference, or bar, I'm not exactly sure what it was called. And he kind of crouched down to get, and I was like, that's got to be Jake. That's got to be Jay. And I seen him, and I was like, holy hell. Yeah, he was a big boy, and he was GQ smooth with the suit on and everything. And at first I thought it was going to be niceties, because he walked up right up to me, and he was like, man, you made the most of this. And he kind of put his hand on my shoulder. And that honestly kind of irritated me a little bit, because I'm like, look, I'm not your boy, I was like, get off me. But so I knew at that point in time that I knew I had to say something or do something to make sure he knows that I'm not here to be your boy. I mean, I'm here to attempt to kick the crap out of you, whether it works in my favor or not. So, but yeah, he's a big kid, man, big guy for sure.
Yeah, he's got that amateur wrestling pedigree, the pro wrestling history behind him. Certainly carries that big name with him. It was a huge opportunity for you. It was his second fight in the sport. You have a lot more combat sports experience than he does outside of the wrestling world. But, when you actually got in the cage and shared that time with him, did he surprise you at all? Were you surprised, man, this guy's really evolved to this point? What was your reaction to it?
Well, you see, here's the thing. I said it to Chael Sonnen, which probably wasn't the smartest idea. I'm not a big fan of wrestling. I'm not a big fan of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I started boxing because it frustrates me, and I fight to get rid of my frustrations. It's my stress reliever. But for a 2.5 minute fight, if you got to take positives away from it, I was actually kind of happy that I did defend some submissions, and I did get out of a couple Kimuras and Americanas. I had made one mistake, and I went back and I watched it. As I was getting up, I lost my balance, and I fell literally right into an arm triangle choke. And so if I was going to be surprised at anything, I knew he was going to be good on the ground. I knew for a fact he didn't want to stand with me, and that was very smart of him. Not because I'm saying I'm some sort of knockout artist, but because I could get lucky and land that shot on the chin, and obviously a lot of his stock would have fallen. So I pretty much knew it was going to be a ground fight, and that's where he wanted it. But I thought that I had handled myself decently on the ground. I made one mistake, and he capitalized on it. And like I said in the post presser, I take my hat off to him for that. Definitely, it was definitely good on him. But I'll tell you right now, I've fought good amount of people, and that man is strong. I had said it to him in the cage, and you could actually hear me say it. I did not expect that. I fought 6'6", 6'7" dudes that just tower over me. That dude right there was on a different level when it came to strength.
Obviously, a lot was made of the end of the fight, the choke being held on a little bit too long. I know you had some things to say in the post-fight presser about that. When he was on Ariel's show, Ariel wanted him to kind of explain the situation a little bit more. And Hager had said, listen, when I got the rules read, said to me by Mike Beltran, he said, listen, do what you got to do. And when I pull you off, you're done. So in Hager's mind, with his phoner, as he liked to say, he waited for Beltran to physically remove him from you. So, hearing that explanation from him, does that change anything from your mentality of it, or do you kind of still feel the same way about it?
I don't hold a grudge. What happened. But here's the thing. What Jake Hager did for me is he allowed me to have a very vested interest in his career. Had he just let go, I wouldn't ever get to be like, you know what, I want a rematch, because he beat me in under 3 minutes. You don't ask for a rematch in under 3 minutes. However, if Bellator lets me come back, or if I fought on the regional scene a couple times and I get a couple fights, he did something that you don't do in MMA. And I don't care if you tell me that, I'm going to wait. When you hear let go, I watched it a bunch of times. When you hear let go, the ref then touches you and you still don't let go. Next thing you know, I'm looking up and there are 3 or 4 people looking around me, trying to put me on the stool and all that stuff. And even though I don't hold a grudge, it's now because of his antics that if I actually start a winning streak, I can call him back out and say, look, dude, we get to run this back, and you get to give me another payday, and I appreciate that. So he can make peace of whatever he thinks happened. I have my opinion and he has his opinion, and that's the beautiful thing about this sport in general is we're allowed to have our opinions. I don't know if my opinion's right or wrong, but it's not going to change. I don't know if his opinion's right or wrong, and I'm sure it's not going to change. But at the end of the day, something was screwy. There was someone messed up there, whether it was the ref, whether it was Jake, whether it was somebody. And if I can take this seriously, and if I can start a roll and I can start winning, I get to call him back out again. Whether they'll give me the fight or not, I don't know. But that was on Jake, man. That has nothing to do with me.
Did you get a chance to talk to Scott Coker or talk to Rich or anybody after the fight? And if so, what did they have to say to you?
I had a plethora of media guys, just a bunch of people come up to me. One guy in particular, and I'm sorry I can't remember his name, but he was so cool with me the entire time. He brought me to Scott Coker personally and told him in front of me that we have to get him back on Bellator. And Scott was like, absolutely, I agree. And I've seen so much good, and I've seen so much bad, and I've seen a lot of funny stuff. But what people, and when the good thing about this is what people don't understand is I can fight. Whether I didn't have a good showing or not, I've fought some of the best boxers in the Midwest, and I've always had good showings. I've fought some very dangerous fighters in MMA, brown belts in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, NCAA wrestlers is in Jake Hager. I fought a karate black belt, and he kicked me in the head. We kept going. So fortunately for me, a lot of people don't understand that I can't fight. So if I get another opportunity, I feel very, very strongly, especially with the weight that I've already lost, I can focus more on skill and getting better and wrestling. So there has been talks about me getting another shot on Bellator, and if that's the case, then I'm telling you, man, we're gonna see something really cool.
Yeah, Jake also said on Monday that he's pulling for you, and he made sure that he gave you a shout out and said he definitely deserves another shot. So you could take solace in that, however it was. But in terms of what this last week has been like for you, and then since Saturday, how have things changed for you? Because obviously you're much more known now. People see your face and they're like, "Oh my God, it's TJ Jones, the guy who danced in the cage." Like there's definitely a different vibe to you now than there was like 5 or 6 days ago. Have you noticed a change? Have people been reaching out to you a little bit more? Like how has life changed for you?
Oh man, other than the social media attention, which has been crazy. I didn't have a Twitter. I've had Twitter for more than a week, and then I just got a star on the Twitter for having 1,000 followers. I didn't know that was a big deal, but and then people all over the world. I got Ireland and England and Australia. I'm talking to a cat from Africa right now about combat sports, and we're just shooting the breeze back and forth, and he keeps calling me sir. He's super respectful, and I try to tell him, hey man, we're no different. You're living your dream. I'm trying to live a dream. We're good people, and they've all been such good people. So I've noticed it, yeah. And then in my hometown too, I've gone to Walmart a few times, and I signed an autograph today, which which was kind of cool. And I've taken a few pictures with some people at work, and then people who didn't watch the fight don't understand why they're taking a picture with me. So then they get curious and they want to know, and yeah, I mean, I've noticed some change for real. But inside my house, there is no change. I'm my wife has made sure to keep me leveled. Like she's like, don't get a fat head. You get a fat head, and we're gonna have issues. So, yeah, my head stays the same size.
So it's fair to say that this wasn't a one-off. You're ready to go. You want to keep this train rolling. You've had the conversation with your wife. You're ready to go. Opportunity knocks. You're going to answer the door. If that opportunity comes for Bellator, let's just say perfect world scenario, when would you like to get back in there?
I would like to. Well, I'm actually in the middle of talking to my manager and a promoter right now about boxing in July.
Okay.
Whether that happens or not, I'm not exactly sure. But the promoter did give me a name of an opponent. I haven't spoke to my manager that much about it yet. But I'd like to take this summer, and I'd like to get better. I'm going to go up to the to the college. They have a wrestling coach there, and I'm going to see if he can help me. And I would like to maybe pack on a little bit more muscle. I look too flabby in them damn weigh-ins. So, I'd like to get better, but I figured if maybe I could box around July and then focus on MMA this entire summer, and then take something in September or October if it's offered, then that would be ideal for sure.
I know if you could predict Jake Hager's future in your terms, the road would lead back to you at some point in his career and in your career, that you guys would align and things would work out in that favor for you. But
for sure.
In terms of seeing his personality, seeing him on the stage, sharing the cage with him, what do you see for his future? Do you think he could be a guy that could go really far at this? Or, what do you think in terms of, who he is, his name, and what you shared with him in the cage?
I would like to see what he does stand up. Obviously he just beat me, so I'm not I think he can do. I told him in the cage, I think he's going to go far. I think he's going to do great. Am I going to crown him a world champion right now? He just beat me. Lord knows, I'm not near that. However, he's got the pedigree. He's got the look. He might have been a heel, but he worked the crowd real well. I heard the boos, but I also heard the cheers. People like him just because of the platform he was on with the WWE. And honestly, he's a nice guy. He's likable. Great looking head of hair, as he told everybody. I'm balding, and this dude's 37. He looks great. No, but for real, I think I'm very pumped to see what he does, and I'd be even more pumped if down the road, if I can cap off, like I said, a couple wins, maybe we meet again. Who knows?
So even though you lost, it seemed like he lit a fire under you, which is really a positive thing to take away from all this, is a little sunshine in an otherwise cloudy day. Which right. I'm a guy that likes to look for the sunshine in everything. Try to stay positive, and that's a big positive for you, because it seems like you're fired up, you're ready to go to keep this all going. But last thing for you, because I realize we've been talking for 22 minutes, I could probably talk to you for another hour, but. What do you want to say to everybody right now? I mean, because a lot of people are just hearing about you for the first time over the last week or so. You've gotten this notoriety. You've gotten 1,000 Twitter followers in a week or so. I mean, it took me years to get to where I'm at right now on Twitter. You're on pace to surpass me by June 1st at this point. But what do you want to say to everybody? Your family, everybody who supported you, everyone that's had your back, old fans, new fans. What do you want to say to everybody after this week you've just had?
I've learned, and as I was younger and growing up, and people not liking me because of my opinion, and me just being brash and sometimes dumb, I learned something, and that's everybody has an opinion, and they all matter, regardless of what you think or how you think. I mean, unless you're, it's just completely off the wall. But I just honestly, whether you hate me, whether you love me, in the end, I appreciate it so much. I appreciate the support. If you're talking about me, that means that I did something to put myself in your head, and I could possibly get more and more and more fights, and that's just what it's about. My family, I mean, I think I've said it 1,000 times this week, it's not possible without them. Where I was 5 years ago to where I am now, I give every single bit of credit to my wife for that. My kids, I mean, they're my reason. They're my everything, So I can't tell you this enough. I am probably one of the most blessed men in America right now, probably the world. And I'm really happy that I got this opportunity, and like me, hate me, I don't care. Just keep talking about me.
That's a great way to put it, TJ. Before we get out of here, let's talk about this Twitter page. Let the folks know where to find and follow you on Twitter, all sorts of social media outlets. Let's get that following growing a little bit more, and shout out to any sponsors. Anything else you want to get off your chest? The floor is yours.
Yes, shout out Central Station Bar and Grill here in Dodge City, Kansas. Tropical Tan and Fitness, which where I do all my training. They allow me to bring people in, train for free. You guys are awesome. Oh man, there's one that I'm missing. My manager's going to be so mad. Cheapers. Phillips Chiropractic and Physical Therapy. You guys are awesome, man. One of the best chiropractors in Dodge City, if not Southwest Kansas. And then, thank you, babe. The Kind Pen. They're on with me for a couple fights. My manager said so. Shout out to the Kind Pen. If you want to find me on Twitter, it's TJ Tombstone. One word. My Facebook page, I've got hundreds and hundreds of friend requests. I'm trying to get to everybody. Find me on Facebook. I'll add you. Send me a message. I'll message you back. I like to talk to everybody. And, man, I love you guys so much. I was weird throwing the heart up. I don't usually do that. But, hey, man, it's been such a great experience. And thank you for having me. Everybody, I love you guys so much. So.
DJ, congratulations on the week. I know the fight didn't turn out like you had planned, but a lot of good did come out of this, and I think you realized that, and you got a lot of support behind you, and you could take solace in all of those things. So thank you for the time. Appreciate it, and I don't think I'm alone on this. We're excited to see you back in the Bellator cage whenever that opportunity arises.
Hey, man, means a lot. It means the world to me, actually, man. Thank you so much.